Feeling inferior is a little bit like being trapped in a mousetrap. We compare ourselves. We feel inferior. We look only to our own weaknesses compared to someone else's strength, and we feel inferior. Sometimes our feelings of inferiority come from long buried hurts and wounds from people that have said things to us like, "You're no good. What are you doing speaking up?" These experiences with life can contribute to how we feel about ourselves. We feel inferior. There's a key word right here in. Feeling inferior causes us to look inward. It causes us to have an inward focus, and usually drilling down into our weaknesses, into our mistakes, into the things that we carry deep regrets over, into our inabilities. In the previous 2 videos in this series on how to overcome inferiority, I laid out 2 steps that we can take. Again, those first 2 steps are taking an internal view, but they're flipping it on its head. And it's looking for, number 1, it's making a praise list of looking for the things that God has gifted you with that you can be grateful for. And maybe it's your curly hair, maybe it's your straight hair, maybe it's your smile, maybe it's the color of your eyes, maybe it's the fact that you're really athletic, or maybe it's the fact that you have musical ability, or maybe it's the fact that you're really good at organizing and can get things done. So we begin to make our list. And then the second step is also internal, where we begin to look inside ourselves and we know the areas that we are weak. We know them, but in God's hands, He can transform them. He can grow us and mature us. So then we become thankful for the work that He's doing in our lives. Now, this third step is looking a little bit outward. It's an outward focus, and it involves praying. It involves becoming an intercessor. James 5:16 talks about how the fervent prayers of a righteous man are working. We can pray for ourselves and we can pray for others. So this is a two-stepper for this third step of overcoming inferiority. Number 1, we can pray for ourselves, that God would enable us, that He would equip us to do the things that we feel like we can't do, but they're the things that He's called us to do, such as maybe share about Him with our neighbor. Maybe it's to start something new. Maybe it's to join a city council and we feel inferior. We can pray for ourselves, that God would give us the strength, the courage, and the wisdom to take that step and to trust Him. We can pray that He would help us trust Him for each and every other step beyond that. Now, secondly, we can pray for others. And that's the thing with inferiority. Remember, we're looking inward at ourselves. We're remembering all the negative thoughts that either we've said about ourselves or someone else has said to us. And we take these and we look at ourselves through this lens. But if we can have an outward focus, if we can look to others and we can pray for them, what it does is it shifts our focus from ourselves and our own set of problems, which I'm not minimizing our problems at all. But what it does is it gives us compassion. It grows compassion in our hearts. It gives us this view that, you know what, other people are struggling too. It develops a camaraderie, but something else that it does, when we pray for others, God begins to do a mighty work in our heart as well. He begins to heal our hearts as we stand before His throne and intercede for someone else. It creates this sense of compassion. It creates this sense of, I see someone's hurting. Maybe I can encourage them. And friends, that leads me to the fourth step in overcoming inferiority, is involving encouraging others. Now, true confessions here. When I'm feeling less than, unwanted, disregarded, dismissed, inferior, encouraging others is something that I struggle to do, at least in an authentic, genuine way, because I'm so wrapped up into how I don't measure up. I'm so wrapped up in how someone else is so much better than me and they got all the compliments, they got picked. What am I? Well, I must be worth nothing. And I get wrapped up in how badly I feel about myself that I struggle to be really encouraging with someone else. But this is what happens when we go through the previous 3 steps of thanking God for the gifts He's given us, thanking Him for the transforming work He's doing in our hearts, praying for ourselves and others, this encouragement begins to well up. Because what we've done is we've reminded ourselves that we are chosen, we are special, we are loved by God, and so is someone else. And there's enough love to go around. There's enough love that we can receive God's love for ourselves, and we don't have to grab it and hoard it. But as we pray for others, as praying for others opens our eyes to see the needs around us, to see the people that need an encouraging heart, we can freely give our encouragement and know that if we don't receive it, we're going to be okay. But we can give freely. So these are my 4 tips for overcoming inferiority. Thank God for what he's given you. Thank him for how he's maturing you and changing you and helping you overcome your weaknesses. Pray for yourself that you would be equipped and enabled to walk in the fullness of who God has created you to be. And then 4thly, encourage someone else. Speak life into someone else.